I moved to New York, my mom was very upset, and I said, why? And she said, I just don't want you to become one of those dirty comedians. And I said, okay. And she said, you don't have to use those words to be funny. For example, Oprah's very funny.
Mike Birbiglia has long been called a rising star in comedy as he prowled stages across America over the past decade.
Now a string of successful movies have given his star some extra sparkle. Jamie Wax is here to tell us more. Jamie, good morning.
Good morning, Vanita. He is one of those famous faces you recognize but might not really know. From stand-up specials to the silver screen, Birbiglia has done it all. It's quite an achievement, especially considering he once survived a scary incident that almost cost him his life.
I was going to tell you about my parents. I was just visiting them, and I don't like them.
Although Mike Birbiglia has conquered the worlds of stand-up.
In just moments, I will pick someone at random.
Improv.
No. You were right. It's my bad.
Television.
I was reading your article about how to talk your girlfriend into a three-way.
You read that one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Would you do that? No.
And now movies. There's something undeniably and genuinely humble about him that always seems to shine through.
New York City is over.
New York City, you're fired.
Take his latest movie, in fact. While Birbiglia wrote and directed the new ensemble comedy drama Don't Think Twice, he ceded the starring role of Jack to Keegan-Michael Key.
My friend Yorma actually said to me once, he goes, you should play Jack. He's like, it's the best part. You gotta play that part. And I was like, I'm not talented enough to play Jack. Like, the guy who plays Jack has to be so overwhelmingly talented that you're like, that guy should get whatever he wants.
We want to know, has anybody out here had a particularly hard day?
And something actually hard, like not like your roommate ate your yogurt.
Instead, he took the smaller role of Miles, who is left behind when Jack makes it big.
I always say, has anybody had a particularly hard day, or a hard week, or a hard month, or a hard year? Because I want to work from the place of pain and figure out if in real time we can turn that into comedy.
I actually think of myself as a sex maybe, which is to say that if I'm seeing a girl, she'd think I'd have sex with him, maybe, you know, and I'm not ashamed of that. There were periods in my life where I was a sex never.
He almost never made it to this point.
Spoiler alert, I jumped through, I have a sleep disorder where I jumped through a second-story window in my sleep and lived to tell the story, and I was diagnosed with REM behavior disorder. It's, you know, it's embarrassing that you have, when you have a physical disorder, and it's hard to talk about in front of strangers, but then ultimately it's very freeing to talk about it.
I'm on the front lawn of La Quinta Inn.
Birbiglia turned his sleeping disorder into the off-Broadway hit Sleepwalk with Me.
What was remarkable is that I landed on the front lawn, took a fall, got up, and kept running.
Establishing himself as both a master storyteller and stand-up comedian. You had success with stand-up. At what point did you say, this isn't all I can do, maybe I could do more than this?
I think it was the sleepwalking story where when I got on stage and I would tell these stories that were very personal to me, and I felt almost uncomfortable even repeating them out loud.
And I land on the floor
where I thought, like, there's a connection between me and the audience that's unlike anything I've ever felt telling jokes.
We'll be selling concessions.
There's popcorn.
This American Life host, Ira Glass, helped produce the movie version of Sleepwalk with Me and Don't Think Twice. Is there a single quality that you think sets Mike Birbiglia apart as a storyteller?
I think one of the things that people underestimate with Mike is what a great performer he is. I think what he's doing seems so natural, you don't think that he's acting.
She said, what do you fear most? And I said, bears.
And it's been really interesting watching him wheel himself from the person he was, who was like a very successful young stand-up, into the person who he is, who's a kind of like proto-Louis C.K., Woody Allen figure.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mike Birbiglia. Mike?
Like many comics, Birbiglia got his first big break on David Letterman's stage when he was just 24.
Hey, everybody.
He spent his early years sharpening his comedy at the famed Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, which also launched the careers of stars like Amy Poehler and Ed Helms. When you think about where your career was when you started performing here and where you are now, do you feel like a success?
Not really, because it's weird. I'm still doing the same thing when I'm here, which is I'm trying and failing, or I'm trying and succeeding. Then he goes, actually, you can't eat that on the plane because the woman seated by the window has a nut allergy.
And even with all of his recent accomplishments,
I won't beat them to her.
Birbiglia is still trying to push the envelope.
Or rub them on her face.
In your very successful off-Broadway show that ran recently in New York, Thank God for Jokes, you talked about how far can we push humor in today's world. Did you find the edge for yourself?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I mean, what I always say about that is that people have the right to tell jokes and people have the right to be offended by jokes. And those two ideas aren't mutually exclusive. Birbiglia says he's been told that so many moments in his career were his big break that he doesn't pay attention to that anymore. But Don't Think Twice may actually be it. At the time of the film's release this weekend, it has a very rare 100% positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
I think this might move him to the sex yes column.
All right. I think that actually might end up being a quote on his film poster.
There you go, Jimmy Wax. Thank you very much. Thanks.